What up, guys? Welcome to the New American Dream Podcast. I'm your host, George Gibson. All right, we're back with another great episode this week. And I know I've been missing, but I got a good reason. So this is something you can practice. I've been practicing because lately I haven't been diving into real estate books or just diving into business books. It's a total different level. And I'm going to put you in a secret because we discuss it in the episode today. Self-mastery. And what I mean by self-mastery is, like right now, it's currently probably about 6 o'clock in the morning. I've been getting up 5 o'clock in the morning. You know, that 5 o'clock, the 8 o'clock window is my time to work in silence and get rid of all the distractions. Social media, the phone, the TV, it is destroying our livelihood right now. And I feel so much better when I work without the noise. No cell phone, no YouTube, nothing. Completely creative thinking and deep thoughts. So that's what I've been, focused on in health, working out every morning. That's the first thing I do. And what I'm gaining from that is I feel so much better. I get so much accomplished every single day by focusing on just being the best me and having the mental capacity to take breaks, take a nap every day in the middle of the day, right? It's such I want to say amazing feeling, but it's eye-opening to realize the more you focus on you, the more you can give to others and serve others. And that's what we're here for. So, this episode is definitely an episode that we dive into self-mastery. And I'm gonna give you a hint. I'm gonna give you one hint before we get into it. Assets, assets, assets. And that's what really helped me along this way. I remember when I was working my job as a mailman, I literally was buying an asset. I'm not gonna go deep into it, but asset is a rental property, something that brings in income, not your home that you have to pay for and don't earn money. But I'm talking about buying rental property. I was buying assets and literally have $1,000 left. But I want you to understand, you sacrifice now for a greater life later. And it's not like you depriving yourself, but I'm telling you, buying that business or investing in that trailer or truck or that rental property, it hurt at the moment, trust me, because you're spending all that money. But if you can just hold on and with time and with the universe and with your growth, it'll all be worth it. Trust me. All right. So today's episode, we have a guest. She's a real estate investor, real estate mentor, has her own real estate broker in Dallas, Texas, I believe. Yes, Dallas, Texas area. And, she really dived deep into how she was able to leave her full-time teaching job to do extremely well in full-time real estate now, using, what she learned in real estate and having faith. That's not a small word. That's a big word. Faith is the key to success and trusting your vision. So enough of me yit yapping. Let's get into the episode. We have Deborah Douglas. All right, welcome to the show. We have Deborah Douglas. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super honored to be on the show.
Yes. So let the people know a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yes. So again, like he mentioned, my name is Deborah Douglas. I am the owner of Douglas Dwellings. We are a real estate investing company. And I also own the Deborah Douglas Realty team powered by Fathom, which is a team of realtors in Texas in the DFW Metroplex that are here to help you with any of your buying, selling, new construction, land, or commercial deals.
Wow. So you all into real estate, it sounds like.
Yes, my goal, and when I was getting into real estate, I want to dominate. So I want to be involved in real estate any way I can.
Wow. All right. So let's go way back, right? How did you grow up? How was your lifestyle growing up as a childhood?
Yes, so I grew up in the Dallas, Texas Metroplex area in a little suburb town called Garland. but I was born in Nigeria. And so my parents are Nigerian and I was born there, but I came when I was 2 or 3. So I kind of feel like I'm a Texan just since I've been here forever. So growing up, I have 3 other siblings. I have an older brother, older sister, and a younger brother. So I grew up in a typical Nigerian household where everyone is very strict, or your parents are incredibly strict, and your parents are telling you that they want you to be a nurse, a doctor, or engineer. They pushed education, but they worked like crazy. So it was a really great growing up, atmosphere. I also ran track in college and in high school. So it was really good to be athletic. So I'm naturally a competitive person. So transitioning into real estate was always been like a natural thing. But I went through a lot of different things and a lot of different careers before I finally found what God called me to do, which is real estate.
Wow. I always feel like people who play sports, like they always have a competitive edge in business, because once you like graduate high school or college, you don't really have nothing as competitive as sport no more. So I kind of feel like, once we find a business of real estate, we treat it like a sport.
Absolutely. And it's not really competing against somebody next to you. It's like competing against yourself of like, oh no, you can do better. Oh, let's keep going. There's still more to go, capture and to conquer.
Right. Okay. So what was your parents' occupation when you grew up?
So my parents were entrepreneurs as well. They had a janitorial commercial business. So they had several contracts with like bigger dealerships like Mercedes, Jaguar, and they were the ones that placed, different people to go and clean in the afternoons and in the evenings.
So do you think, what did they talk to you about, like their business and the money?
They did. And I will say, like, if somebody was unable to go to work, then, oh my gosh, they had 4 people that were ready to work for free. So not only did they teach us, they made us do a lot as well. So we were able to see different contracts, see how they, made sure they got the bid. Even if they needed us to clean, we were always cleaning. And it's a crazy story, but I remember growing up knowing like I always have to go clean with my parents or there's something we have to do. And I remember telling myself, I cannot wait till I grow up because I just want a regular job like everybody else that works 9 to 5 so that I can come home and watch primetime TV at 7 o'clock. It's crazy now that I think about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, like great dreams. But because when I would go to school the next day, people would talk about, oh my gosh, did you watch the show or did you see this music video? And I would be like, no, I was cleaning or working.
Yeah, but look at you now, right?
It was all working. It was all part of the plan.
Yes. I'm reading, well, I read a book yesterday. I finished The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, and it was talking about a part where the kid, everybody, you know how you when you're a kid, you want to be a teenager. Then when you're a teenager, you like, I want to be 18. Then you're 18, and you keep fast forwarding, like thinking it's gonna get better. And you next thing you know, in the book, the guy 90 years old, and he like the lady like, you got one more wish. And he wished to be a kid again because you keep on wishing to get so far and you not enjoying the journey.
Absolutely. And that's something that really sticks out to me of like, I have really big goals and things I want to achieve, but I do try to take some time each month, each week to just reflect on where I am and appreciate the journey because the journey is really what it's about, not the destination.
Exactly. So how do you because evidently, when you accomplish this goal, I'm pretty sure you make an even bigger goal. So like how do you are you are your happiness dependent on that goal? Like how do you deal with that?
That's a really good question. I wouldn't say my happiness is dependent on the goal. I would say I am really focusing on, I remember where I used to be, where I used to be a coach and a teacher, and I was driving the school buses. And anything that I do now is more of a surplus. And it's more of a like, I can't believe this is my life. Like I just want to pinch myself sometimes. And it's coming from a grateful spirit of I know what I used to do. I know where I am now. I know there's still areas that I want to grow, but I'm okay knowing that this is my life today. And I truly appreciate it.
Yeah. So I think looking back, even me too, I have to like you might have bad days and you have to look and think, oh well, I could have been still, working at 9 to 5 or whatever. So
Yes.
yeah. All right. So in high school, you was most likely blank. What would your friends or peers would have said? Deborah is most likely to.
Mm. I would say most likely to succeed because I was always so determined. And if someone told me I couldn't do it, I would spend all my energy and my time trying to show them that, see, I told you I could do it.
That's I guess you could say I could predict that. I put in my yearbook, it was like, what do you want to be? I guess later in life. And when the yearbooks came out, I put successful. And I was like, damn, an idiot, because everybody else put like doctor, nurse, like, what do you want to be? You know? And I really, if you think about it, everybody really just want to be successful in whatever you do.
That's true.
Yeah. All right. So after high school, what's next?
After high school, I was able to get a full track scholarship to Tarleton State. It's a West Texas small school, but I was able to run track there. And there I ran track for 4 years and I was a two-time All-American. So I enjoyed running track. It was a great, cool way to get free education to leave college without any student loans. So it was, I mean, it was cool. And the blessing from attending Tarleton was I was able to meet my now husband, and he played football while I ran track. So it was just a really cool connection of us getting together.
Yeah. So how has that been? Like, so basically y'all would eat noodles together, pretty sure in college. So now like this, like how has that journey been, like growing with somebody from starting from like, that level?
It's actually been a real blessing because we both know where we started and we both didn't come from households that people had a lot of money or had a lot of resources. And to see where we are now, I think it's something that we both lean into each other and we've watched both of us grow. And I think the blessing in our relationship is that we have allowed each other space to grow. And hey, where we started is not where we ended, but we give each other our space and we encourage each other wherever that is in our lives.
Yeah, I think that's healthy because me and my wife, we met in college too, and like you said, that space to grow, like to figure out. I guess like she kind of sacrificed working a job, and I like took the leap. If that makes sense.
Yes, yes. And I remember like there was times where my husband wanted to try something different and I would be like, "Okay, let's do it. Let's pray about it. Let's try it out." And giving him the space to fail, giving him the space to try it and I was still there to support him. And then even for me cuz him still working a W2 and allowing me to just say, "Okay, I want to try this real estate thing. Let's see what happens." And him giving me the space to do it and constantly encourage me. If it wasn't for his encouragement, I probably would still be in education today because he saw a lot more in me than I even saw in myself.
Wow, that's good. So you go to college, finish school. What is your first like career or making money job?
I was a teacher. I was a middle school teacher and coach. I coached basketball, track, and volleyball, and I was a PE teacher. So it was everything I thought I wanted to be. I was like, hey, I want to go to school, be a teacher, and it was great, but it was long days, late nights, early mornings. It was crazy.
Yeah. So all right, you're a teacher and you got this idea. I guess you want to get in real estate. How do your family and friends, or even what was your realization moment where you realized like this is not it?
Yeah, so I spent like almost 15, 16 years in education. I was able to grow and become a head volleyball coach. And then from there, I transitioned into administration. And while I'm trying to think of my next move in my job of what that would be, being a principal, being in central office, I start realizing I don't even like this. I love kids, but I don't like being the disciplinarian. I don't like dealing with parents cussing me out. I don't want to deal with any of this. And then at this time, fast forward, I already have two children and I am spending less time with them and more time with other people's children that I was like, something has to give. And me being unhappy at work is now pouring over to my household. And my kids can feel it, my husband can feel it, my family and friends can feel it. And I was just like, you know what? I'm a child of God. God does not want you to be unhappy. I can't give what I don't have. So I decided at that point, there's something needs to happen. So I start praying, and I just so happened I stumble across a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I start reading the book and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like everything that's in my brain, but I can't really articulate it. And so I'm reading the book, and then one of the things that really changed for me was in the book was liabilities and assets. It was a chart, and you had to go in and write down what your assets were, what your liabilities are. Me being competitive, I'm looking at that. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this. I know I got a bunch of assets. So I'm going in, I'm writing down what they were, and I'm like, okay, well, I have a lot of leather purses because I love a purse. That has to be an asset. No, that's a
Oh.
liability. Like I spent 1,000 on it. Now it's worth 1,000 or 1,200. Then I'm like, okay, well, I have really nice cars, but they all got car notes and I'm probably upside down. So that's not an asset.
That's it.
So as I keep going through this list, I have no assets. That was a true reflection of I'm grown and don't have anything to give to my kids. I have nothing to pass on to them other than debt. And if something was to happen to me, they would have to pay all these credit card debts, all this car note debt. And so that really was like, we got to figure something out. We got to change what we're doing. And so I talked to my husband about the book and he was like, okay, he's on board. Let's try to figure it out. So at that point, that's when we started cutting back on a lot of the extra things that we would pay for, like going on trips and spending money on cars that we really couldn't afford. And we just cut back to save money to put a down payment on our first rental property.
Okay. That's like, all right, the part you just said, that's where a lot of people get stuck at, where, you wrote it down and you like, I'm gonna make a change. So for the person in that position where they rent a house or they got a house, but they got 2 car notes, they got the kids, and they feel like this is it. What was like, how was you able to cross over that bridge?
One way that I was able to cross over was I wrote down all my bills and my husband wrote down his bills. And we started looking at ways that we can cut back. Because if you're used to making X amount of money, usually you're only saving less than 5% of that every month. If that, a lot of people aren't even saving. So we started thinking like, okay, we really don't need cable. Let's cut that. We really don't need to go on this trip this summer. Let's cut that. We don't need to go to the steakhouse. Let's cut that. Literally sacrificing today because we saw the vision of tomorrow. And that's really hard for a lot of people because we get caught up in, we don't really like delayed gratification. But that was something that because he and I realized that we need to do something different and it's going to be worth it down the line, we were willing to cut back today. So sacrifice, discipline, and realize that, yes, you may not be able to go out with your friends and do all that stuff. 5 years later, they're going to be doing the same thing, but you're going to be in a different situation. And I kept telling myself every morning when I was driving to work, eventually I'm not going to be driving anymore. Eventually I'm going to be sitting at home and I'm not going to have anybody to call because everybody's still working. And that's where I am now.
You got no friends. They all at work.
They all at work. And I'm like, what are y'all doing? And they want to hang out on the weekend. I'm like, no, I'm hanging out with my family. We had all week.
Oh, man. The crazy part about that, too, is my thing was people used to always like ask me, George, what you doing tomorrow? And what you doing this day? Or what can we do? Or can you do this? And it was like, my answer was, oh, I got to work tomorrow. I got to work tomorrow. I got to work tomorrow. You can't do anything because you're too tired to go do it if you have to work the next day,
Yes. And there was a book, I cannot remember where I read it, but what happens is we've worked all week long, 40 hours a week. And so on the weekends, we go out and buy stuff to justify us being unhappy. And instead of justification, we're more saying we deserve it. I done worked all hard. I've dealt with all these crazy people. My boss is crazy. So I deserve something nice. And that was a mental shift for me to say, you know what? Yes, I may deserve it, but I can't afford it right now. So I'm just going to push it back. And until someone else pays for those things, I will not pay for it. So it made me focus more on let's get as many rental properties as possible so that the tenants can pay for all of my entertainment, can pay for my luxuries that I want.
Yes. So this is something I don't blame people for not knowing this information. Like you said, you read the book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it was like a light bulb moment. But I do want people to realize what you're saying is 100% accurate, like delayed gratification, or even just laser focus. Because I think right now with we was probably, even when I was coming up, it was no social media. So that I might, if I pick up my phone to do real estate, I get lost on YouTube, Instagram, and it's so hard to focus to even get ahead, you know?
Yes. And it's more, you have to know what your why is. And it has to be larger than your current situation. It has to be so large that even if you stumble, you mess up, or it's not going your way, you're going to still push through.
That's me, you want it really bad. That's why you didn't, when you was talking about your school job, I could tell if you don't like something that much and you love something, it's pretty much like 100% chance you're gonna be successful if you don't give up.
Yes. And it's one of those things, the longer you do something, the better you'll be. So if you are trying, like every expert, they were once a beginner. Yeah. Once they take the time to learn, they're going to go through some stumbling blocks. It's not going to work the way they envisioned it, but they kept going. Then they get to the point of consumption where now it's so easy. It's just like riding a bike. So we're buying houses like 1 or 2 a month now because it's like, oh, that works. The numbers make sense. Let's buy it. And we're not even thinking like we used to and be like, well, I don't know. Do we have enough money to pay for this? Do we have now? But you have to go through all of those aspects because that's part of the journey.
So take us to your first, rental investment deal. What did it look like? What did you purchase?
Yes. So my first investment deal was back in 2017. I was still working. My husband was still working, and it was a duplex in Fort Worth. So we lived in Dallas, which is about 45 minutes outside of Fort Worth. So we bought this duplex. It was for $128,000. And there were tenants already in there. So in our mind, we were like, well, we'll just buy it. The tenants are there. They're still paying. They were paying, I think, $700 a month on each side. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. And our mortgage was right at, I think, $1,100 at that time. So we were like, well, as long as they pay, we're going to make $300 a month. We're okay. So that was kind of like our reasoning with let's buy that property.
Right. Okay. So, all right. So you buy the duplex. Did your strategy, when you bought that duplex, the mind frame you had then and the mind frame you have now, what's the difference?
The mind frame I had before was more of a scarcity mind. It was more or less like, oh my gosh, if these tenants call me that something's wrong, I'm gonna freak out because I don't know what to do. And it was more or less every first of the month I would freak out and say, are they gonna pay rent? Because I need to pay the mortgage. Now I'm in a place of abundance where even if they don't pay rent, I have put systems in place to negate any issues of me losing money.
Well,
go ahead.
No, I meant your real estate strategy. My bad. Like your your buying strategy. Like at first I was going towards all the cheap properties. Then later on, like now, I realized I really don't like that. So it switched. So I'm saying like that,
Yes. So I would say that my strategy is at the beginning, like you said, buying cheap properties because I'm thinking in my mind, I can afford that.
Right.
Now we're at a place now we're buying more expensive properties because one, the more expensive the property, the better quality tenants you're going to have. 2, the better quality neighborhood school you're going to have. You're not going to deal with theft. A lot of things are just a little bit easier. And you end up having tenants that stay forever. We have some properties right now, the tenant has been there for longer than 3 years and they don't have no intentions of moving. We continue to increase the rent, not too crazy, but enough to, keep up with the market.
Right.
But they don't want to leave.
Wow. That's what, I mean, people, you don't even realize what you do like or don't like. Some people might like just purchasing, properties in low income areas, but the thing is you have to do something in order to find out,
Yes. And I always tell people start somewhere. And I always say the first property is not going to make you wealthy. It may not even make you rich, but it will change your life and it will change your mindset.
Exactly. So what strength do you think the biggest strength you bring to the real estate that you personally just have, is one of your strengths?
I'm a problem solver. I will figure it out. If there comes an issue, I'm not going to take forever to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. I'm not going to get down on myself. I'm going to say, okay, there has to be a way we can make this work. Let's try this to plan B, and then we make it work.
Okay. So far, and this don't have to be real estate, what's like the biggest failure that you learned from or got a lesson from? Because I understand now that failures just make you stronger and bigger.
I would say assumption. That is one area that I have failed many, many times, is assuming people know my heart, assuming people know my work ethics, and assuming people know how I'm moving around when I'm doing business deals. And sometimes I feel like I need to over communicate because I want to make sure they understand. But that is as I'm growing as this business owner, because again, I was in education, we deal with more relationships.
Right.
Learning how to communicate from the business standpoint of, yes, I want to make money, you want to make money, but you're not going to get over on me, especially being a woman in this field.
Right. So what does your team look like right now in your role too?
So right now, my team is right around 10 of us, and we are currently recruiting some more agents. And we are spread out throughout the DFW Metroplex. So if there's anything you need where it comes to buying a house, selling a house, buying land and building a house from scratch, even doing any type of commercial, I have someone in the area to support your needs.
And right now in the market, all right, I'm in Florida, and the market is kind of slowing down, but it's been kind of high. What is the market, and what do you recommend to buyers right now that are out in the market?
Yes. So the market has not been the last two years, I will say, it has not been ideal for buyers because buyers were going in, putting offers in and still weren't getting it, even putting up to 50,000, sometimes 100,000 over asking and still not getting it. Now that the market is shifting, it's starting to cool down. You're seeing houses now sit on the market a lot longer. Before, houses would sit on the market for about 2 to 3 weeks on average. Now you're starting to see them sit on the market for almost 2 months now. So ideally, if you are a buyer, this is your opportunity to go in and really negotiate for your side and for your best interest, where now you can ask for seller concessions to help pay for closing costs. You can ask them to make repairs. You can even offer under list price. Because houses are sitting on the market, sellers are getting angsty and they just want the house to be sold.
Okay. So when you flipping a house, what is good strategies or techniques to help you sell and get the price you want?
So one thing I try to do is when I buy a house that needs work, I walk in and I try to envision it being a different floor plan. And what I mean by that, let's say it has like let's say it has a huge dining room. Most people don't really use dining rooms anymore. Right. So I may close it up, put a closet in there as long as there's a window, and now I have a room. So instead of it being a 3-bedroom, now it's a 4-bedroom. If there's a way that I can add another bathroom to the house, I'm going to add another bathroom. So I'm always looking for a way that I can just recreate what's already there. Like I don't add square footage, like I don't add another building or add anything. I just change the floor plan of how the house flows. So it's a little bit more conducive. Right now, what's really hot is open concept. So I try to tear down walls in the kitchen and open it up to the living room. So then I can close off a dining room because they still have a seating area and everything is connected into the living room.
Yes. So if I was to say, give my 2 cents in this part, for people looking to be investors, the 2 things, well, actually 3 things that you need to focus on. Like you said, the square footage, the more square footage, the more opportunity you can do, the more creative you can get. The square footage, what was it? Oh, the location. Location you can't change. So the square footage you really can't change. And the third, location, square footage. Well, them 2 main things is like where your money at, you know?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's one thing about, and also making sure you know like you meant the location, also know about the schools. If it's a good school district, hands down, somebody's going to buy that house because most times people are moving because of children. They want to put kids in a good school district. Any way that you can market yourself and talk about the school district, that is what's going to get that home sold.
Yes. And that's overlooked too, that you said that. I'm glad you said that. Schools, and also because if you're in vacation, if you're looking to do like vacation rentals, hospitals, I noticed homes near hospital, our values are going up too.
They are. We actually have an Airbnb that's close to a hospital, and it is constantly being rented out.
Yes, nurses is a hot commodity by hospitals, traveling nurses.
Traveling nurses, yes.
Yes. So how do you disconnect from real estate? You got the real estate team, you got the real estate investing. How do Deborah disconnect? What do you do?
I love to work out. So I go to CrossFit. Some people call that kind of like a cult. So I miss track, I guess, the track practice. So I do a lot of CrossFit. I do a lot of working out, running. I love reading books. So anything that can really help push me to the next level, I'm going to read it. And you know what? I love praise and worship music, especially if it's like I guess it's kind of like gangster rap, gospel rap. I don't know. I like gospel rap. So that's kind of the ways I just unplug.
Yeah. In my office, like this is my office, I always have like Alexa playing gospel music at volume 1. It just put me in a vibe. Like I don't know, like you just said, it's just a vibe.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. No, I think, and that's the thing I'm trying to teach, friends and stuff. I want you to elaborate. I'm not going to elaborate, but I want you to take it for how you take it. You make more working less.
I do. And it's easier. And I don't know who I was talking to the other day, but I was mentioning how hard I used to work as a principal, as a coach. I remember getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, running to the bus barn to pick up the bus, drive it to the school, and park it where no one would hit it so that I could hurry up and go to my class, teach my class, and then get back into the bus, pick up the kids, take them to the track so we can have track practice, bring them back to school, me go to my class and teach, and then get back on the bus all over again. And now I literally walk like 5 steps to my office. If I need to schedule time to see a buyer, I'll schedule it based on their schedule and my schedule. There's some weeks that I may not even see anybody, but I'm still getting houses under contract. I'm still buying properties. I'm rehabbing them. And as long as I have a good communication with my contractor, then it's easy where I don't have to be there every day. It's just easier. I have people wanting to take me out to lunch to just kind of pick my brain. I've never had that before. Like, what is that? I'm like, you really want to talk to me for real? So there's just abundance on the other side. And I truly thank God for it.
Yes. And I'm going to put you in on it because this is kind of mode I'm in right now. Is people, they don't teach self-improvement or self-mastery like they should. It's always learn how to do this, learn how to do that, trying to get somewhere. But I have seen, like you said, how you work out. If you train and then you got a game, you prepare for the game, right?
Absolutely. And how you do one thing is how you do all things. And there's a level of obsession that you have to get to when you are ready to be successful and do something on your own terms and risk everything. And a lot of it comes from who you're around. Sometimes you got to cut people off, even if they're family. Sometimes you got to just get to yourself and really get into what you want to do, even if no one else understands it or no one else gets it. That's just part of the plan of God. Sometimes will remove you from everything that you know, everything that you're comfortable with, so that when he does put you up and put you in places that you never thought you could be in, you won't ever take the credit. You will always say, you know what? I know myself. I know my faults. And that is God giving. I have to give God all the glory.
Perfectly said. What is your fear to make you go so hard? Or, like, what are you scared of? Why do you go so hard? Because your friends and family probably think, Deborah, you good. You don't got to work, but you steady, probably working harder than them.
You know what? I think it's my kids. You know what? I'm not even going to think. It is my kids. I remember being a junior and senior in high school, and I know my parents didn't have a lot of money, but I was like, I want to go to college. And I knew at that time, the only way I can go to college is by running track. So yes, I enjoyed running track, but it was more of a burden of like, I have to run this certain time. I have to do these things because I have to go to college. And this is the only vehicle that I have. So I go hard because I want my kids to be able to discover who they are. to give them the space to really find out what is their purpose, what is their passion, and they don't have to think about the money side. I want them to just, hey, if you want to be an actor, you want to be a singer, I can be able to help you and facilitate those type of resources to help you. And I want them to just be happy. I don't care what they do. I just want them to be happy.
Yeah. So how old are your kids?
I have a 10-year-old, 5, and a 9-month-old.
Oh, newborn almost.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a 4-year-old, and then my wife's pregnant with another baby right now. So
Nice.
yes, it's kind of like you said, we do this for the kids. I realized, like, I had a plumber one time. He was working for me, and we had and I felt a lot of businesses. We had a beauty salon store, right? And the plumber was, we had a salon in the back. So the plumber was there putting in the pipes and all this stuff. And he was probably about 50, and he was just on the floor doing the pipes. And he was like, the one regret I had in my life is time went so fast, and he didn't spend the time he should have spent with his kids, and they grew up. And that's the biggest regret he had. And, it was like maybe a couple months later, I called his phone, and his daughter answered, and I was looking for, I think his name was Tom. And she was like, Tom, he passed away like a few weeks ago or something. I'm like,
Oh,
yeah, but I feel like he told me that for a reason. You feel me? Because we trying to work. He told me he had $1 million business, plumbing business, all this. But we working to provide for our family. But at the same time, our children just want to know that you love them, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And sometimes we're chasing the money so much that we don't have time to offer any time that they want. And they really just want you to just cuddle. They don't want all these things. They just want you. So being able to be in real estate where I can pick and choose my schedule, pick and choose who I want to work with, it gives me that time to say, this is my non-negotiable. This is the time I'll be with my kids. If you call me, I'm not picking up. Because hey, I own the business. I'm going to focus on what's important, which is my children.
And honestly, that's what I want more, especially in my community, Black people. I really want them to experience that more. Like, it's one thing for me to tell you, but for you to feel it, it's like now you is mind blowing, because if your kid gets sick, like my son gets sick, whatever, I just stay home, just chill. It's not that big of a deal.
Yes. I remember, like, if my son was sick, deep down inside before, I would get mad because I would be like, now I got to tell all these people I can't come to work tomorrow. I had all these things lined up. And now it's more like, oh, okay, well, we just gonna hang out together and there's no stress, and your kids can feel that.
They do. I think, and I'll say it, but my son, he was in like a private school. It was kind of uppity. But then for the summer, he went to a different school, and it was totally opposite. And I think he didn't like it every day. I gotta go to school. I gotta go to schools. And I think the stress of other kids, like the energy, it was totally off. And him as a 4-year-old, I think he could feel it. Because even when I dropped the kids off, all the parents was like running, drop them off, and gotta run to work. From the other school, most of the parents, I don't even let they work.
Right. That's true. That is true. And I think the older I get, the more I realize that it's about energy and it's the exchange of energy. And I didn't realize how much other people's energy really changes and affects you until now, where I'm able to really, I guess, take time to reflect. And if I feel any kind of negative energy or anything, I don't even talk myself out of it. I just say, you know what, I probably shouldn't be around that person. I probably shouldn't work with that person. And I just move on.
Dang. Yeah. You got to be in tune. That's why I say that self-mastery is so powerful, because if you're not in tune, the one thing I really preach to people is you miss God's signals or smoke signals. If you too loud or you're moving too fast, like you just miss everything.
Absolutely. That's true. That is so true.
So that's why I tell a lot of people, you be busy, you're busy, but you ain't going nowhere. And it's so hard I think I can't really express it how I'm trying to say it, but you're always busy, but there's no progress. So I realize the less busy I be, the more progress I make. And I don't know how or why I work like that, but it works.
I totally agree with that, because I will say, like, especially if you're scrolling and looking at people's social media, like they have so many things going on, and then you'll look up 5 years later, they at the same spot. And there hasn't been really true progression in their lives of setting themselves up. Because I always tell myself, yes, I'm young now. I can work really hard right now, but there's going to be a time in my day that I'm not going to be able to work this hard. I'm not going to be able to go in like this. So I need to set myself up so that when that day comes, I still have some passive income coming. I'm not going to have to change my lifestyle because now I can't go hard like I used to.
Yes. So if God was to whisper in your ear, Deborah, this is what I want you to do while you're on earth. What is in words? What do you think your mission, your goal, and purpose while you're here on this earth this short time?
Ooh, you have some really good questions. Really good. I would think he would say is go and be like a disciple and share with the world all the great things about God and all the things that he's been able to do in your life. So I try to make where my life is like a testimony of I just trusted God and all these things happen. So I think it's just more or less like I want to be the good works. I want to love on people. I want to be able to live a life of abundance so that I can give that type of abundance as well.
Yeah. And I think I think one time I was flipping houses, doing rental properties, and I got cocky where I felt like, George, you know what you're doing, real estate, just go. So I kind of jumped into another project, not giving God no credit. I just I know how to do it. It's my reason I got this far. And you know what? That house hung me up for a whole year of stuff I didn't see because I think because I was feeling myself. And I honestly, the deals I had got, I never bought a house off the MLS. Every house somebody came to me. So that was already, a blessing,
Absolutely. And I think internally I have to catch myself because I will always tell myself, man, you doing it. You're doing a lot. And then I will catch myself, no, that ain't nothing to do with me. Like I try to stay as humble as possible. And one thing I think that does help me is I really think about where I was and how unhappy I was. And to see that the only reason why I'm not there anymore, because there's a lot of people that I worked with that are still there. We complained together. We were upset together. We were miserable together, but they still there.
Do they reach out to you and ask you for help or how you did it?
They do. And I try to give them everything I know. Like I really do. But they still like to be there because people like to stay where they're comfortable. Yeah. And the older we get, the harder it is to take a risk out of what we don't know.
Yeah. I was like, when I was a mailman, so I was working with 50 to 60-year-old people, and I was literally just sitting there listening to their stories every day. And I just learned from it. It was like a sponge. And a lot of them, they had big regrets. Like they were musicians, but they never took the chance because they were making this good money or got this benefits. And I was like, I don't want to be that,
Yes. Yeah. Because you know what? Our society is set up to be comfortable and to be secure and to focus on security. People love to have jobs that have benefits because then they kind of forget about everything else. People love to have jobs where they know exactly how much money they're going to make because then they can get secure. And when you talk to people about making that shift, they'll usually say something about they need safety, they need security. When you're on this side, all you need is God because he continues to cover you.
Yes. You got to have faith in seeing the unknown. So if you don't have faith, because at the same time, I don't think it's for everybody too, because like you said, if you don't have that faith to see the unknown, it's kind of hard to move forward,
Oh yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Like you kind of have to have some level of visionary in you that you can see what today looks like, but you're hoping for tomorrow. And you got to push through because it's going to happen.
So when you get a big goal, say your goal is to buy a 50-unit apartment building within the next 6 months. All right, that's a goal. What's your strategy to take down that goal when you got goals?
So my strategy is to see that goal written somewhere every day. So every day I'm looking at that goal. As I'm looking at that goal, I start seeing myself walking a 50-unit property. I see myself talking to contractors with that 50-unit property. I start seeing all these things because then it's somehow, I don't know how it is, it's that manifestation. You start connecting with people that can help you get to that point. You start connecting with lenders that can be like, oh yeah, I can lend you that money. All you have to do is bring XYZ. And something about that, it just magically happens. Every time I have set up and said, this is my goal of where I'm trying to go, God has put those people in place where I'm just like, oh my gosh, that was so easy.
That's crazy because people might not believe it, but it's like you gotta trust what she's saying to the fullest, because it's like writing it down was the first key, and then seeing it every day was the second key. But I don't know if you read this book, which I'm gonna recommend to you and your husband, the 5 a.m. Club. You ever heard of that?
No, I haven't. I'm writing it down right now.
Yes, that book will change. It's gonna change your productivity 10 times 10, because the thing is, the whole thing about the book is 5 a.m. clubs, get up at 5 o'clock, because when, like, even today I got up at 5 o'clock, and it got these rules, like the first 20 minutes you work out, the second 20 minutes you write down your goals, you do your gratitude, and then the last 20 minutes you read a book, audio book, or just learn. And you'll be surprised how far ahead, because imagine me, you run a race for 400 meter, right? And I start halfway running the track every day. What's the chance you beat me?
Slim.
And that's exactly how the 5 a.m. club book is. It's slim. You ain't gonna beat a person who get up at 5 o'clock every day, because you get up at 8 o'clock. And then from 5 to 8, the chances of your phone even ringing is very low. So you'll get what people are doing 8 hours done in 3 hours.
That's so true. And you know what, that I love you mentioning that, because when I was a principal, I would get up at 5 a.m. to do those things and work my business. And then like around, 7:30, that's when I would be like, okay, let me go get ready for work. But because I had a full 9-to-5 job, the only time I had to really work my side hustle was first thing in the morning. Because late at night, I'm sleepy, I'm tired. You're not going to get that much great work out of me. But my mind was so alive and so creative at 5 a.m. Like you were coming up with different ideas and projects. I'm like, where is this coming from?
It's in the book talking about, it's something with, like, people don't even see the sun come up. So when you come up with the sun, it's like, it's 1 and 1, if it makes sense,
Yes, that is real, because I had a 9-to-5, but I would work my side hustle so hard that now my side hustle has turned into my 9-to-5.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, y'all start getting up, 5 o'clock. It's so crazy, because I've been telling a lot of people lately, because and you're not allowed to use no social media or nothing like that during that 5 to 8 time,
Mm-hmm.
No phone, only, solitude. And I kind of tell people, it's kind of like if you ever notice people go to jail or prison for a long time, they get out and they just start doing good. They were locked in, they lasered in, and they kind of like mastered themselves, if that makes sense,
Right. And I think our goal as growing up, becoming who we are, is mastering ourselves, learning more about each other, learning more about ourselves, so then in turn we can help each other.
Yeah, because and also people don't realize the mind is just like the muscle. So say I lift weights all day, and in the afternoon my muscles gonna be tired. The same thing with your mind. If you're thinking all day and somebody asks you a tough question at 9 o'clock at night, you may make the wrong decision because your mind is actually tired.
That's true. That is so true. And a lot of us, because we know what we're getting ourselves into with our 9-to-5, we know what's expected. We've been doing it for years, decades. Just think about the muscle of our brain, and is it really strong enough? Because we haven't used it to the full degree.
It's not being creative at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. And so that's why I want people, even take away from the episode, instead of learning about how to do anything, try to be the highest level of yourself, because when that opportunity comes, it's going to be way easier to make that decision. Oh yeah, I know what to do. Because you are already equipped,
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So, all right, this is like the final 5 questions. First thing come to your head, pop off.
All right, I'm ready.
Favorite book that help you?
Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki.
Yes. If you could spend a day with a mentor and kind of pick their brain like people do you, who would it be?
Grant Cardone.
Grant Cardone.
Yeah, all day.
What you like he go big. So is that
he
why
goes big, and that 10x of being around somebody that is obsessed, like, because he takes obsession to a whole nother level.
Right. But I also think he's a heck of a salesman too.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. I don't know. I like Grant Cardone because I like most real estate people, but you probably should go listen to this podcast. Anybody who haven't heard, it's a guy named Rick Jarman, old school real estate. What's his name on Instagram? But I had him on my podcast. He passed away, rest in peace. But he did it the way kind of like I imagined. He bought a bunch of Section 8 homes or $100,000 homes, under $100,000 home, and had over 100 houses. But it's more than one way to do it, So Grant Cardone, he go, all these big apartments, but you can literally buy one house at a time and still get to a crazy life,
Absolutely. And honestly, we're on that buying one house at a time, or duplex or triplex, and you'd be amazed how that cash flow is enough to cover a household of 5 people.
Yeah. So I like Grant Cardone, but it's also like what's comfortable for you. So people, you don't have to emulate anybody. You can watch, but figure out what you're comfortable with and just get rolling. A spirit animal. So that's like an animal that will reflect your personality.
The first thing that comes to mind is bear, but I don't really know why.
Well, when you say bear, I think aggressive.
Okay.
Aggressive, strong, powerful. That's what I think.
Yeah, I would say all those are probably, if someone was to describe me, they probably would say some of those things.
You sleep a lot? Nah, hibernate. Yeah.
In the winter, I don't like to go outside. I really don't like to go outside when it's cold.
Oh, okay. See, so might be back. So, all right, hobbies outside of real estate. I know you have a life. I know outside of this.
Outside of real estate, I love hanging out with friends. I love working out, and I'm a t-shirt and tights person. I just like hanging and just enjoying. I don't really like to dress up a lot, but just hanging out.
Yes, got it. So, your version of the new American dream. The old American dream would be you will still be a teacher. You may be even a principal, like you said now. And you go to school 8 to 5, even go PTA meetings and pass out candy. That was the old American dream. What is your version for the new American dream for you and your family?
Buy assets. Buy a lot of assets. Buy enough assets that it replaces any other income that you have, and then you chill and you can travel whenever, however you would like. So just buy as many assets.
Yeah, you buy assets, you're gonna be a rich person. Hey, you know what? I got a piece of people I'm selling properties for, and the guy told me got a bunch of property, right? He said every time his wife kept telling him he needed a new truck, every time he thought about buying a truck, he ended up buying a piece of property. And you know what happened?
Exactly. And we even think about that. Like right now, we are in a place where we would like to get a bigger house, like buy land and build our house from scratch. And that's the ultimate goal. And we will get there. But until then, it's more or less like I need more houses. And then eventually I can sell off a couple, use all that to buy my house and buy my land and build my house however I see fit. But then I go into a house with no mortgage. There's something that Robert Kiyosaki talks about is if you're going to have big debt, make sure somebody else pays for it, not you having to pay for it.
Wee. Hey, that's enough. I might get charged if I keep going. All right. If people want to reach out, find out more information about you, where do they go and how do they find out about Deborah?
Yes, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram. You can Google Douglas Dwellings. You can even find me on just Deborah Douglas on either platforms. I do have a real estate course that teaches you exactly how to invest into real estate, and that's flipping, wholesaling, doing the BRRRR to get you your rental portfolio, and doing so many other ways with real estate investing.
Yes. So people reach out. She's the real deal. She didn't fake me out. I got a real person on here. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Yes.